Hello, beautiful people, and welcome back to Storytime with Shani. I am Shani, your host, but also your sister friend who loves to tell you what's going on in her life. So hurry up and pull up a seat because I got a story for you. Firstly, let me start off by saying thank you to all of you who have already listened to part one, The Discovery. I am incredibly grateful for all the comments, calls, texts, DMs, encouragement, love, and support. This is what is keeping me motivated to continue telling my story. If you haven't listened to part one yet, go back to my YouTube channel at Storytime with Shani and take a listen, and then come back here. I promise you, you won't regret it. This part is called Manifest Destiny, okay? And it's not about American imperialism, all right? I call this part Manifest Destiny because the things that we speak into existence, the actions that we take, no matter how big or small they are, they can take on a life of their own and can really change the course of our life. You know, it can alter our destiny. So without further ado, let's get into it. Last we left off, we discussed how I found out I was pregnant, how I found out I was having twins, and then having to announce it to my parents. Now we had to announce it to his mom and also our chosen family, like our friends and people we care about most. Now, my partner had the idea to break the news to his mom by taking her out to eat. So we go to a barbecue spot out in Long Island City, Queens. We get there and we're seated at a booth. My partner is sitting to my left on the inside. I'm on the outside, and his mother is directly across from him. Now, I'm nervous as hell because I'm like, how do we tell this lady that we are pregnant? But then I realized I'm going to let my partner handle that because I had to deliver the news to my parents by myself. So we place our order with our server, and it's kind of quiet at the table amongst the three of us. And my partner, of course, takes the lead. And he plainly tells his mama, who is known as Miss Sandra, that we are pregnant. And the reaction is quiet still. So we are literally all looking at each other. My partner and me are looking at her, and she is looking at us. And all you can hear are the three of us blinking. What felt like an eternity was probably only really 10 seconds. It was just a real heavy, awkward silence. It was like tension. It was almost like suffocation. And literally, we were just looking at each other until I realized, oh, she's looking at us because she's probably like, okay, guys, what are you going to do next? And Miss Sandra is traditional. So she was thinking, oh, are you guys going to get married? That's what she was telepathically communicating to me. And so I broke the silence and the tension. And I said, oh no, we're not getting married. I explained to Miss Sandra that if I were to marry her son, it would not be because I'm having his children. It would be because that this is something that we decided to do because we love each other and we want to solidify that union through marriage, not because we put the cart before the horse, right? And having children first. So I told her, once the children come and we're able to be a stable family unit, then that would be something that we would consider later on down the line. Now, Miss Sandra was not out here jumping for joy and doing cartwheels at this news. And I wasn't expecting her to because, again, this pregnancy was not planned. But she was firm and she was fair. You know, she let us know the responsibility that was involved in raising children and how important that it was for us to work together to be parents, to provide, you know, a stable and healthy life for our kids. Now, even though I took her reaction well, my partner did not. He actually was upset. He got up and left and went to the restroom. Through a conversation with him that I had later on that day where I asked him, like, why did you walk off? He said it was because, you know, he was upset that his mom wasn't supportive enough and that She didn't seem happy, and I tried to explain to him that like this is not really a happy situation for our parents. I think our parents envisioned this milestone in their children's life very differently than how it's playing out. So I don't think you should take it personal, but he did, and he felt that despite the circumstances that his mother should have been happy or should have at least been more expressive in showing content. But I think it wasn't really about that. I think it was more about deep-seated issues that he had against his mother that stems from his childhood. But anyways, back to the table. Now my partner's in the bathroom, so it's just me and Miss Sandra who are alone at the table. And she looks me dead in my face and she tells me, "Look, Shani, I know my son. So if you need anything, I'm talking about you need money for diapers, clothes, you need someone to watch the kids, take the kids for a weekend, you have to let me know." And I said, "Okay." And she was like, "No, you have to let me know because I know my son." At this point, I can't ignore the truth of what's in front of me because my father had already told me that my partner was not going to step up to the plate. And now his mother has effectively told me the same thing. And I'm like, damn, it's coming from his own mama, but this is a lesson for all of you that mothers know their children, okay? Even if you see mothers enabling their children's bad behavior or not, coddling their children or not, at the end of the day, mothers have a great sense of who their children are and how their children show up in the world. Now, my partner returns from the bathroom not knowing the conversation that had transpired between me and his mother. And to this day, I had never told him what his mother told me. I just felt like that is a harsh truth that he would have been unable to accept, and I did not want to be the cause of friction in their relationship, so I just kept it to myself and I just hoped for the best. At this point, the food comes, we bust down that barbecue, we have a pretty decent time, and then, we go home. And now that we've gotten the parents out of the way, we thought, oh, this is going to be the fun stuff. Now we get to tell our friends that we are pregnant with twins. What I thought was going to be fun and joyous was spun into something else completely different. One, my partner and I decided that we would hold off on sharing the news on social media until I was like, quote unquote, out of the woods, which is like, at least 12 weeks. And we wanted to share with all of our close friends and loved ones first because we didn't want anyone to have this shock value of like finding out on Harriet Tubman's internet. For me, it was really important to share this news with my close-knit group of friends in person. I did not want to do it over group text or like a conference call, so I was trying to figure out a way, how can I get everyone together to tell them this news? But the problem is that we all lead very busy lives. Like some of us already had kids and we're already married and we're working professionals, even myself working really long days. So trying to sync the schedules of like 6-7 people is really hard. However, we were all going to meet at a graduation party for one of our college girlfriends because she was graduating with her MBA. I was like, yo, this is mad perfect. Like my partner's coming to the party with me. All my friends are going to be there. So I figure, why not just announce the pregnancy at her party? So the party was going to be at Charlotte's house, who was the guest of honor, who was the graduate. And the plan was to just take Charlotte and the close group of friends to the side at her party and announce the news to them. We make it to Charlotte's house and it is a backyard party and it's warm, the weather's lovely, and the whole party is a vibe, okay? Charlotte comes from a Latin family, so not me shimmying my shoulders in my seat like I'm Celia Cruz to the music, okay? Not me wanting to twirl like I am Miss Selena Quintanilla, okay? Bitty bitty bum bum. I'm a stop. But I just wanted to convey the joy that was in the atmosphere for Charlotte's accomplishment and also the joy that I was actually feeling that I get to tell my friends this amazing news. So I'm seated at a table with my partner and just my close friends. And Charlotte comes over because, it's her party, so she's schmoozing all of her guests. When she finally comes over, I tell my friends that, hey y'all, we are pregnant and pregnant with twins. Now, what I didn't realize then, but shortly learned through the course of my pregnancy, is that people are generally excited to hear news about pregnancy, but the excitement is amplified when they find out that you are having multiples, like you are a dog having a litter. Like, the excitement goes through the roof. My friends jump up. They're super excited, very happy for me. They're hugging, saying congratulations. Charlotte is so damn happy. She runs off and tells her parents and her siblings, who they in turn tell all the other guests at the party. And so everyone else, all the other guests, gave us their warm wishes, well wishes, and congratulations. I was really taken aback by all the love and congratulations that I received from everybody at the party, because the party was really about Charlotte and her accomplishments and in graduating with her MBA. And Charlotte took that party that was meant to celebrate her, and she shared a moment with me to share in my good news. And I think, in the words of Dionne Warwick, that's what friends are for. So at this point, party done. All right. So me and my partner, we leave, we get in the car. I'm driving. The party is in New Jersey, and both me and my partner, we live in Brooklyn. So it's quite a drive ahead of us. Immediately, as soon as we take off, my partner starts complaining. He's like, didn't you see how your friends treated me when we told them the news? And I'm hella confused. I was like, treated you like what? Because all I remember is being showered with love and congratulations. And I asked him, like, what do you mean? What are you talking about? Like, how they treated you? And he said, well, they got up and they congratulated you first. Yeah, well, duh. Of course they're going to congratulate me first because, one, I am their friend. They've known me the longest. And two, I am the vessel. I'm doing all of the work in making sure that these two babies are brought to the other side of life. Then he launches into some diatribe about how men get the short end of the stick in pregnancy, that they don't get the attention or the respect that they deserve. He's like, because you wouldn't be pregnant without me. Child, it was like listening to one of those red pill podcasts. Not only did I have to listen to that misogynistic soliloquy, we argued. And I specifically remember driving down the FDR like, why the F am I putting up with this? We argued because he told me that I was inappropriate for announcing the pregnancy at that party, and that I was intentionally stealing away the thunder and the shine from my friend Charlotte. And I said, I don't know where you were, but from what I can recall, I decided to announce my pregnancy to my friends at our private table with Charlotte there. Now, Charlotte decided to take that information to her parents and to her siblings, who then in turn decided to tell everyone at the party. That's on them. But clearly, as hosts of the party, they felt very comfortable sharing the joyous news. So that's on them. That's not on me. So he wasn't mad at me for quote unquote being inappropriate. He really was upset at the fact that at this large function, I was the one who was the center of attention, because before my pregnancy, he was the one who was the center of attention in the relationship. Not only was he working as an educational admin, he was also a performing artist. So he's used to having all eyes on him. And that was a dynamic that I was fine with, because I don't like to be the center of attention. So I have no issue playing the supportive role or just being in the background. And this was actually the first of many, many instances where he displayed jealousy, essentially over his own children. Like the fact that not only were people excited that I was pregnant, but again, when you are having multiples, people are exceptionally excited for you. He didn't like the fact that people gravitated towards me, so if we went out together and his friends were around, his friends would always greet me first. And when I say me, they would greet my belly first, then they would greet my face, and then they would eventually make their way over to him. But the fact that he had to witness that over and over and over again, where people were showing me love, loving up on me, but people were really only loving up on me because I was the vessel for these children, and I didn't mind it. I actually really did love the fact that we had a village and we had a community of people that really cared about our kids from their conception, because that made me feel comfortable in knowing that my children were going to be loved. I mean, I don't know from what perspective he was seeing it from, but it's like he couldn't see the forest for the trees. He couldn't see that this love that people were giving me wasn't really for me. It was for our kids, and that he should feel happy and confident and comfortable with that. But my presumption is that he felt that like the attention I was getting meant that he wasn't getting any. And so that was always the cause of arguments. And that caused a lot of tension between us in our romantic relationship. I felt this was a contributing factor into how he showed up for me as a supportive partner. For example, as time marched on in the pregnancy, I want to say around my second trimester at the beginning, he was becoming more distant. Like, he wasn't as communicative. He would go days without speaking to me or checking in or even responding to my calls or texts. There even reached a point where he just stopped giving a damn about my medical appointments. Now, when you are having multiples, you are considered high risk. And if you're considered high risk, you actually have to go to the doctor more often. I had to go every week. So every Saturday, I'm in a medical facility. It's either I'm with my OBGYN one Saturday, or I'm at an imaging facility getting imaging done another Saturday. Both facilities are on opposite ends of Brooklyn. If you know your Brooklyn geography, one was in Crown Heights and the other was in Bay Ridge. And I live in Flatbush, which is kind of like dead center in between both neighborhoods. My partner, at the time, he lived in Bed-Stuy, which is actually above Crown Heights. So since he didn't have a car, didn't have a license, he didn't even have a permit, I would have to leave my home, go pick up my partner, and then either drive to the facility in Crown Heights or in Bay Ridge. And it was becoming tiring, so I had to tell him that I can't keep picking you up to take you to my appointments. Like, you should just meet me there. Especially for the facility in Crown Heights, because that was the one closest to his home. He was closer to that place than even my home was, so he should have been able to make it there. And for this one particular Saturday, I make it to the office in Crown Heights. I'm sitting in the waiting room, and I'm like, where the hell is he? Like, he's typically on time for appointments. That wasn't an issue prior because he was on time because I was picking him up. But this time I wasn't. So I'm like, where the hell is he? So I was calling, texting, no answer, no response. And I'm worried. I'm like, what the hell is going on? Now, at that doctor's office, you're given an appointment time and you are basically waiting a lot longer than your appointment time. So I wasn't worried about, quote unquote, missing my appointment. And because he lived maybe like 7 minutes within driving distance, it's like a straight shot on the same road. I said, I'm just going to leave and go to his apartment and see what's going on with him. Call me happy feet, because I waddle my ass to my car. I drive up the road. I park. I get into his building. Now, he lived in a building where you have to put a key in the elevator because the elevator is the door to the apartment, right? So I don't have a key. So I know that even though I can get into the elevator and press the button to his floor, the door wouldn't open for me on his floor. But I remembered that they do have a door that leads to a stairway that they always left unlocked, him and his roommates. So I had to happy foot it to the staircase, waddled my ass up to the third floor, where I opened the door. I walk down the hallway, I open the bedroom door, and I find him cozy, asleep, like somebody just sang him a lullaby. I went from happy feet to Vegeta from Dragon Ball Z. The way I was yelling for him to get his ass up and out of that bed, and how dare he oversleep, and I just lost it. All he could really do, from what I remember, is just stare at me blankly. He got himself together, got himself dressed, and we went back downstairs to the car and went back to the appointment. But I was pissy mad. Now, you would have thought that, okay, like, damn, okay, I messed up. I'm going to ensure that I make it on time for the next appointment. Fast forward, the next two medical appointments that were at that facility in Crown Heights, he did the exact same thing. Slept through. And I had to do the same thing of being like, where the hell is he? Going to his apartment, going up the stairs, going into the bedroom, and exhausting myself emotionally and physically to tell him, like, yo, get the hell up. What the hell is going on? It reached a point where I want to say towards the end of my second trimester, I just told him, like, you know what? It's really okay. You don't really have to come to any more appointments, because it was becoming such a stressor on me, having to not only, one, manage myself to get there, but also having to manage you to get there, and also having to worry about traveling to this place or to that place. And it just reached a point where I told him, like, you know what, if there's something bad going on, I'll let you know and I'll bring you to the next appointment. But until then, like, I really feel like I'm okay. You don't have to come anymore. And he stopped, and I just started bringing my best friend Nadine with me to my appointments, or just going on my own. Now, back to what I was saying before about him becoming distant, it was increasingly becoming a stressor on me, because I'm an overthinker. I don't really function well in chaos or in gray area without clarity or some direction. Like, I can figure my way out of precarious situations or gray situations if I feel like I have an idea or a plan or a gist of what's going on. But if you leave me in the dark, that's pretty much where I stay, and that's not a good place for me. And I felt like he knew that, and I felt like he was playing upon that. But after a while, I started to be like, you know what, fuck it. Like, if he doesn't want to get in contact with me, he doesn't want to check on me or effectively check on his children, then, I'm going to live my best life. I was leaning on my girlfriends a lot, and the girlfriends that I had at the time, I'm forever grateful for what they provided me during that point in my life. Like, they really loved up on me and cared for me. Like, they were taking me on road trips to the Poconos, to the Jersey Shore, to the beach, and I know that they were marketing it to me as like, oh, like, you're going to be so busy when the baby comes, we're probably not going to see you. But I think in reality, they were like, yo, your man really isn't doing anything for you, and we need to love up on you because you need it and you don't deserve this level of treatment. So we're going to go out of our way to make you feel loved and appreciated. And I felt just that. Now, this is a very hard part of the story for me, so please bear with me. Picture it, August 2015, New York City, Lower East Side, okay? We are at a birthday brunch. We are celebrating Nadine's 29th birthday. So I put on my best, sexiest dress that covered up that baby bump, put on my best set of wedges that fit my swollen feet, and I had an amazing time at brunch. And then after brunch was over, we went to this amazing rooftop day party and had a fantastic time with myself, Nadine, and our big group of mutual friends. Of course, pictures are taken. Of course, pictures get posted online. I post some too. And after they're posted, maybe about a day or so, I get a cryptic text message from my partner. The text read that if I cared about saving our family, that I should show up at this particular address on this time and this date. No additional context or information is given. So now I'm thinking, am I about to be human trafficked? Am I about to wake up in a tub full of ice? I Google the address and I see that it is an office building in Midtown East. So I figure, okay, it doesn't seem too sketch. So when the date and the time arrived, I made my way to that address. When I get there, obviously, I don't even know what floor to go to. So I text him, I say I'm here, and he's like, well, come to the third floor. I get to the third floor and I see a whole bunch of people crowding this doorway, and the doorway had a sign on it that said Momentum Education. Momentum Education is an organization that provides like coaching and personal development workshops. Pretty much it helps you to look at life from a different perspective, realize your blockages and realize that you can actually manifest the life that you want for yourself. And he had just finished taking like their basic course, which is like an entry level course, but they offer courses at various levels, but that's the first level. And after you complete the first level, you're to invite two additional people to the next orientation. So I didn't know that I was coming to an orientation for a personal development workshop. As a matter of fact, I was actually quite against it at that time. I didn't know how sitting in a workshop with a room full of strangers was going to help me in my life at that time, let alone how does this model help us, quote unquote, save our family, like he said in his text message to me. I make my way through the doorway and it's an open area, a large room where they have seats that are all lined up auditorium style. I find him seated. I sit directly next to him on his left-hand side. And lo and behold and lo child, he pulls that same stunt that he did at the abortion clinic. He ignores the fuck out of me. He paid me dust. He paid me no mind. And I started to feel really bad because I'm like, why am I being dragged all the way up here to Midtown East to this building just to be in this room with you at a place I didn't want to be at, to just be ignored? You could have ignored me for free in the comfort of my own home back in Brooklyn. What made me feel even worse is like during the orientation, the instructor is making us do, one-on-one exercises with people. So he is completely giving me his back and I have to engage with the woman who is sitting on my left-hand side. And it was actually a really beautiful black woman who was very sweet. I don't remember her name, but I do remember she had this lovely caramel highlighted colored afro, and she had these really chic, thick black glasses frames, and she looked like she came from work. She just seemed very posh, but she was very sweet and kind to me. I completed the orientation. I did my exercises with my fellow sis who was kind to me. And I was told, like, if you want to sign up for the course, it was going to be like $199, right? Like introductory pricing, today only, sign up. And even though I didn't want to do it, I told myself, you know what? I'm just going to go up there. I'm going to give these people my $199.99. So at least I could tell him that if our relationship does not work, that I did my best. I exhausted all possibilities. And I thought maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's something that he sees that I don't, that could potentially fix our relationship and make us a more cohesive family unit together. After I pay for the course, I waddle my ass back to the elevators and back downstairs. Because I figure at this point, if you're going to ignore me, there's no need for me to tell you goodbye. So I make it all the way down to the street and I'm walking down the block. I'm walking towards Lexington Avenue because it was late, so I wanted to catch a cab home. As I'm walking down the street, I hear him call my name and I'm trying to waddle as fast as I can. But he is 5'11", I'm 5'3", so his gait is longer than mine. And my gait becomes shorter because because now I'm heavier and I'm carrying more weight in front of me. So he was able to catch up to me. He catches up to me and he completely blocks my path. So he's directly in front of me. And I say, okay, well, what do you want? Like I said, now you can talk. And I was like, you weren't talking to me upstairs. So, why are you bothering me now? He said, I didn't say anything to you out of respect because I was so enraged that if I talked to you, I would have just went off on you. You're enraged? I was like, what are you enraged about? I have not heard from you this entire week. You have not checked in on me or the well-being of your kids, and yet you are enraged? So now we are arguing back and forth, bickering back and forth in the street, okay? Which is Something I never thought I would do is have an argument with a partner in the street, cuz that's ghetto. That's the ghetto. I forgot what he said, but my reply to him was, "You know what? This whole week taught me something, and it taught me that I didn't miss you." And it was true. I really didn't. Like, I felt lighter, I felt better without his presence and knowing that he just wasn't around because he was just such a stressor for me. He replied back to me by saying, and I quote, "I didn't miss you either. As a matter of fact, I'm so disgusted with the idea of you being the mother of my children that I prayed to God that you would have a miscarriage so I could be done with you once and for all." Immediately I keel over. Like, it literally felt that somebody physically punched me in the stomach. Like, all the wind was knocked out of me. I had to brace myself by putting my hands on my knees and to catch my breath. Like, it felt like I had a very visceral response to that. And of course, I became highly emotional. I began to cry. As soon as I was able to collect myself and stand upright, I, moved around him and I kept walking towards Lexington Avenue because now I'm like, I need to get up out of here, right? Like, he just crossed the ultimate line. And as I'm trying to get around him, he keeps blocking my path. It's like we're boxing. It's like I'm shifting left, he's shifting with me. I'm shifting right, he's shifting with me. And I keep telling him, "Yo, leave me alone," through my tears, like, "Yo, leave me alone, leave me alone." And he had the audacity to tell me to stop because I was making a scene. This man just wished death on our children, just wished that I would go through a horrific experience. And of course, my natural reaction is upset. And he tells me to shut it up because I was making a scene. Now, I look over my right shoulder and I see a man, looks about middle aged, sitting on the driver's side inside of a white work van. And it seems as if he had been like watching the entire interaction because when we locked eyes with each other, he gesticulates to me, like kind of pointing, kind of like, you need me to come outside? Like, you good? And I suddenly like put my hand up to like kind of almost to say stop, like, nah, 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 like, you good, like, stay there. Because I just didn't want the situation to escalate further. I just wanted to leave. And so I turn right back around and my partner kind of like gives me enough egress where I like break past him. I make it to Lexington Avenue and I hop in a cab and I make my way home. In the subsequent days, when I was able to be in a bit of a better place emotionally, I confront my partner about what he said and how vile it was. And he didn't apologize for it. Actually, to this day, he has never apologized for what he said to me. And his justification for saying what he said was, just like you told me your truth, I told you mine. And I just told you that because that's exactly how I felt. Little did I know that Little did I know what was to come and what a foreshadowing that statement would be. And if he truly believed in what he said, he manifested such unbelievable trauma for me in my life. To this day, I still carry that because it's the worst thing anyone has ever told me. And it's like somebody made a permanent mark within the depths of my soul. And the whole saying, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. That's a lie. That is a myth because those words cut deeper than anything I have ever experienced in life, even before I knew what was to come. In that moment, the physical pain that I felt from those words, I felt it. I felt it. I knew at that moment that I could no longer be with him. I said, how could I be with a man who would say such a thing to me like that? But I started to envision what my future would be like, raising children with him and co-parenting. And it wasn't a pretty picture. I just envisioned myself struggling on my own, and not struggling financially, but just all the energy that it takes to raise children. Raising children is at least a two-parent job. It's a two-parent job plus a village. And I wasn't worried about the village. I was just worried about the two active parent part. And all I could see was me doing the majority or all of the active parenting on my own. So one day, I had a conversation with him and I told him, what would it look like if we were just co-parents, right? Like, we don't have to be romantically involved. We could just be mom and dad to our kids. He responds with, why are you trying to take my children away from me? I'm like, "Kay? Like, what do you mean? Me trying to take the children away from you?" I said, I know what it's like to have a present and hands-on dad, so I would not do anything that impedes your ability to be present for your children. Just because we wouldn't be together romantically doesn't mean that you wouldn't be an active part of your kid's life, at least not on my end. And he kept pushing it like, oh, you're trying to take the kids away from me by you not being with me. It felt as if, what he was trying to say without trying to say the quiet part out loud was that if I leave him, he's not going to be involved in the children's life. And so at that moment, I was like, fuck, what do I do? Either way, I knew I wouldn't be happy, right? So if I stayed with him romantically, I wouldn't be happy. I would be miserable, but the children would allegedly have an active and participating parent. Now, if I leave, granted, I'll be happier without him, but my children would suffer because I know that he wouldn't be present or as present as I needed him to be for the children. So I figured the lesser of two evils was to just stay with him romantically. Obviously, that was not the right choice, okay? But at that time, I thought, you know what? I could fix this all myself. I could make him step up as a parent, and if my choice to stay with him influences that decision, then that's great. But what I didn't realize, and this is where I fell short-sighted, was that his ability to parent was his responsibility and not mine. And that regardless of what I did or did not do, said or did not say, that wouldn't change anything because his ability to parent was 100% within his control and not mine. But I stayed. I stayed, but my heart wasn't in it, you know? And it was a really tough position to be in, feeling so miserable during a time where I felt I should have been joyous. I thought I was concealing it well. Little did I know that I was actually going through depression at that time. It took my best friend Nadine, while we were baby shower planning, to point it out to me. And at that time, I really wasn't an advocate for mental health. I think I was like many people in the Black community where there's a stigma around therapy and seeking counseling as a sign of like, being unwell. And I was on that bandwagon at that time. So when she brought it up to me, I was like, girl, no, I'm not depressed. Like, girl, cheese, I'm smiling. I'm happy. But I was dying on the inside. I remember doing my baby shower planning with my best friend Nadine. We were at the baby shower venue. We were sitting at a table and the owner had just left our table after we had been reviewing, things like the menu, the contracts, and all other sorts of paperwork. And Nadine was like, girl, you don't seem happy at all. And I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, as a first time mom, I would really think that this would excite you, that you would be really happy and looking forward to it. And she's like, I just haven't seen that. Like, anytime I've brought up planning for the baby, the baby shower, you're just like, okay, whatever, just do whatever you want. And I really was on that type of time. Like, I really was not excited. I was just like, if she's willing to take over, whoever's willing to take over, please do, because I just, emotionally, I had nothing left. The well was empty. It was dry. And so even though I did want to participate in the baby shower planning, I dreaded it because I felt like, oh, this is going to be another event that I feel like my partner is going to ruin for me, because the attention will be on me and the babies and not on him. Even when I had finalized that, okay, I'm going to have my baby shower at this venue, my partner asked to go to the venue. We go together. He talks to the owner as well, and he wanted to make sure that he was part of the planning. He's like, these are my kids too. I want to be part of the baby shower planning. And on the surface, there's nothing wrong with a dad wanting to be engaged in baby shower planning, but I knew where it was coming from. He didn't want to be involved because like he was super duper excited. He just wanted to make sure that the attention was also going to be on him. Like, even something as small as the chairs that you typically see the mom to be sitting in, he wanted a chair for himself as well, to be decorated equally as nice as mine, so that he too could have a place in the center of the party to sit and be admired like me. And through all of this, for lack of a better word, chaos, I felt like I wasn't even taking care of myself. It was as if I was just like, oh, I just need to hurry up and have these babies already, because the pregnancy just felt so draining. Not even physically, like, yes, physically, there was a component to my pregnancy that was very, very taxing on my body. But just being in the relationship, also with going through depression, and looking back on it in hindsight, I realized that I took no pictures of myself while I was pregnant. I only have one selfie that I took of myself while pregnant, and I can't even look at that picture, because looking at the woman who is there in that picture is very depressing. And even though other people took pictures of me throughout my pregnancy, it's really hard to look at myself and to look back at those moments, because I'm always thinking, she has no idea what's coming. Well, beautiful people, that brings us to the end of part 2 of this captivating series on Storytime with Shani. I hope you've enjoyed this journey so far, because I've really enjoyed having you. But you've got to stay tuned, because there are 2 more parts left of this heart-gripping, tear-jerking, and jaw-dropping series. Okay, so don't forget to subscribe to this YouTube page at Storytime with Shani. If you've loved what you've heard today, a like, a share, or a review would mean the world to me. Your support helps to spread the magic of storytelling to even more ears. Follow me on social media for more behind-the-scenes content, updates, and maybe even a sneak peek or 2. Follow me on Instagram and TikTok at I am Shani, Shani, the creator. Until next time, y'all, thanks for listening to Storytime with Shani.